Hi, good afternoon. Today I'm working on the Full Deck Challenge 3. This is card number 20. I've done a little bit of prep. In fact, these are not dry yet, so we'll see how that goes. My card is, I've put a map on it because I have kind of a travel theme on this one. This week's prompt was paper dolls. And I have some, these are the paper dolls I'm using. They're women from the 1920s, I believe. They're fussy cut out of a digital kit that I have. The background is this book that I got from a thrift store, which is funny because it is about Italy. It's one of the Michelin, but it's in German, which I'm currently learning. So it was kind of fun, but I just took one of the maps. This is from 1984, so it's not really going to be much use to anybody right now because lots of the things have changed. But I took one of the maps out of there to use as my background. And last week, this is last week's card, I used this orange ticket. And so I'm going to be bringing the ticket theme into this week, which is why it's travel. But here's the other portion of that specific ticket. And then I have a couple more tickets. And then I have this sort of architectural, it's from a kit that I got from someplace that has die cuts in it. Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to use these ladies. They're traveling together in the 1920s. I just started reading, I've read plenty of Agatha Christie, but I just started reading the Poirot sets. I just finished book 2, and so I'm kind of in that mental state right now of the 1920s. It's also one of my favorite eras, so hang on. Just trying to take that big gloopy one. So I put it down, I inked around the edges just so it looks a little more vintagey, and then I put some splatter on it because when I put this sort of together, it looked kind of boring. But I may have to add splatters after I put everything down because more than likely it's all going to cover up what I already put down, but maybe a little bit of it will show through and give it some interest. My constant is labels, and so right here is my label I'm using. It already says paper dolls on it for this week's prompt. So yeah, let me get going here. I had a lot of fun with this one. I always get nervous about this prompt. Because, you know, the first few weeks were easy. She did color, so it was like red. Okay, well, I just pull out all my red stuff. Or, you know, pink, yellow. That's pretty easy just to kind of put together something with all those colors. But when you give kind of an open sort of challenge like paper dolls, well, you know, that could go sort of anywhere. And so but because I had used the travel, that ticket on last week's for the pop of orange, I decided to stick with kind of a travel theme this week. I thought it would just be easier to kind of go off of that. And then I decided what paper dolls I was going to use. Because I had bought, I'll include a link to the Paper dolls. Oh, this is a sticker. Now I feel stupid. I thought this was like this one. This one is a piece of paper. And I thought this one was also a tag, but now I'm worried that this was also a sticker. I just don't realize that, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, but now I've glued the sticker to my finger. That's fun. And I'm just going to use half of this. That way I can use this. So I have to fit the ladies on there also. I was just kind of using this as a, you know, when you travel to, well, I've never been to Italy, but I've been to Germany, I've been to Poland, I've been to Iceland, numerous places. Not Iceland so much, but when you travel in Europe, there's so many old buildings. I've been to Spain, I've been to different areas of France. So that's what I was kind of just trying to do, that as kind of like an architectural, interesting thing to put on here. Because obviously if you were traveling, you would see architecture, or that's what they would have done in the 20s in Italy, which is where this map was. Sorry, I was trying to get my pin back in my glue, but not going well for me at the moment. And then I was going to do a little bit of blue down here because there's some bluish purple on the ladies' outfits. The ladies. I like these washi tape stickers. I got a bunch of them from Amazon before I decided to stop using Amazon for a little while. I mean, I don't talk politics on here, but I'm not using a lot of places where I don't agree with what they're doing, so. Yep, I'll use that on some other page. And so, yeah, I was going to put the ladies here. On here. Just kind of a, you know, they're in their fun dress, going to be traveling. They're in their 20s, little fashionable outfits. The splatter does help in the back a little, because the colors weren't very exciting, which, whatever, that's fine with me, but after using kind of really bright colors the last few weeks, this seems so dull in contrast, although she is wearing a very pretty pink. And then I'm going to put that down there. That was the plan. Yeah. And then I still have to put my number on here. But I was thinking of doing that one. What is on here? Thinking of doing the card number up there. And then I also have this, which is, and so the adventure begins. I want that up there. I want it down here on top of this. Do I want it down here? I think I like it up here. I think I had black ink on my, so it makes it a little more interesting with the dots in the back. Like I said, you can't see most things. I've covered them up. But I wanted it to be more about them. And then I kind of have, sorry, I have these stickers. Thinking of doing this little, I have a little stamp, sorry. I know I'm sitting here not doing, it's because I'm trying to, this is why I don't do things, this is why I have my pages put together before I start this video, because otherwise then I look like an idiot and I'm trying to do stuff. I was thinking of, yeah, a little postage thing there, just kind of a travel thing. I'm annoyed by the fact that this has a little black space on it. I can also put together, I could put maybe another little sticker at the bottom here. And then, yeah, I'll pull out my numbers and put an 18 on there, I mean 20 on there, so. Yeah, okay, I like that. It looks a little more balanced. And then I think I could put another sticker, or one of those, you know how it says like figure one. I wonder if that would look interesting under the paper dolls. The paper dolls is kind of, usually I make the word bold so that you can see it, and today I just kind of, I was worried it was going to be too big, and then I think it's just too, you don't even, it's kind of a boring label. Have black ink on my finger. Sorry. And I think that keeps getting stuck when I thought I washed my fingers before I was working on that. Anyway, yeah, so I just need numbers. I have so many alphabets, but they don't all have numbers. So let me find one that's got numbers with it, that's small enough. I've had a lot of these numbers for years, and somehow just in the last year I suddenly this will be perfect. It matches hers perfectly. Let's see. These are Color Theory. These are from Studio Calico. They're very old. You'll not be able to find them now. Oh, there's no numbers on here. Isn't that always the way it goes? Yeah. I always think alphabets should include numbers if possible, because there's situations like this where someone wants to put a number. I'd rather have more. Say have the exact same color, no numbers. Well, I may have to go. I either need to pull out my rub-ons and put one on there, or because I don't think these are going to fit. These are way big. These match the lighter pink on the page. Let me try one and see. And yeah, I did just put a 1 down when this is card 20. I gotta get used to being in the 20s now, sorry. All right, let's try that again. Thank you for bearing with me. I think I can get a 0 on there. Here's the problem. I was trying to have can you even see that? Which might not be a bad thing. I don't necessarily need the 20 to stick out. But when I was looking through, I have tons of labels. There we go. And I decided to use the pink label, but I only had one left in this color. And I wanted it to semi-match, so yeah. I don't know. I'm like, did that just get ink on it? Oh, that is ink. I see. Well, that's okay. All right. I'm hoping that next year's, I assume there will be one next year, that she's going to continue the carryover, because I've really appreciated that aspect of it. Of course, I can always do it for myself, and it doesn't have to be part of the challenge. And once again, if something wasn't crooked, would it even be my page? So there. And then I'm just going to use another page of the Italian book. So I don't know whether I should put more splatters on it. I feel like it doesn't really, maybe it doesn't need it. But I definitely want to cover up their faces if I do it, because I don't want, I don't really want the splatter on them. I mean, a little bit on their clothes. This was my splatter practice page. So let's, if I do that, and then That's not bad, I guess. I couldn't decide between black and white because I kind of wanted to brighten the page, but I was already using a few dark things and I thought the black would. Anyway, I think that's it. I think I'm done. So here is the page. These are what I'm counting as paper dolls. I mean, it's not as neat as Shanna's Shinooki Arts. You know, she kind of made a doll and the clothes and everything, and I'm just using ones that I got off of Etsy. I will post a link to them. But yeah, there we go. Card 20. Moving right along. All right, thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful afternoon. I hope you get some crafting in and you're enjoying wonderful weather like I am here in California. Take care. See you next week.